4 days ago, the Phillies powered off their magic number ticker as they clinched their first postseason in 11 years. In 2011, the Phillies posted their best season in franchise history thanks to a veteran lineup and a dominant starting rotation put together by a hungry front office. Widely considered World Series locks, the Phillies were knocked out of the division series by Albert Pujols, Yadier Molina, and the St. Louis Cardinals. Ryan Howard hobbled to first base after tearing his Achilles tendon on the game-ending groundout, foreshadowing what was to come for Phillies baseball. It's been a long road with twists, turns, and speed bumps, but 11 years later, October the 7th, 2022, if you don't know the date, it is time for the Phillies to find their redemption against the 2011 World Series champions. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Colin Daly, and welcome to the Phillies Sports Report's live Phillies pregame show. Here with Benjamin Goldstein, the founder of Philly Sports Reports. Ben, what are your general thoughts going into the series? What do you got so far?
I am hype, and I am very, very, very nervous. This is our first playoffs. For those that don't know, Colin's 15. I will be 15 in 4 days. So we're both 15, I would say. This is our first playoffs. So this is huge for both of us. Just happy to finally be here. So I am very excited, but very, very nervous, and I don't know what to do.
Thanks, Ben. So looking into game one, we've got Zach Wheeler, 2.82 ERA, going against Jose Quintana, a left-hander, with a 2.93 ERA in 32 starts this season. Ben, what are you looking for out of Zach Wheeler? Just to see, what are you looking to see him do in this game one start?
He has a great track record against the Cardinals this season. I should have pulled up the exact stats, but I was kind of rushing to get on here, so I didn't have the chance to. But he pitches very well to Goldschmidt and Arenado, and then just has to get around Pujols and some of the other bats. But what we need from Wheeler today, I should say, we need at least seven good innings.
Right now, the good thing is we do have a rested bullpen, right? We had that day off yesterday. And Michael Plastmeyer stepped up big time in that series finale, which was in Houston. And that's great to see, especially going into this series. So when you look for Jose Quintana, interesting story here. Go back to the 1st of August. He was traded along with Chris Stratton, who is not on the Cardinals postseason roster, from Pittsburgh to St. Louis. Quintana gets a lot of weak ground balls. He's allowed just 3 runs in his last 33 and a third innings. And it's an odd story for him. 2021, a 6.43 ERA. In 2022, as he came over to St. Louis, he's a 3.5 ERA. Ben, get this, 2.01 earned run average in his starts with St. Louis this season. Now, there are some upsides to this. He's got a fastball in the low 90s. Not a ton of break horizontally on his breaking balls and off-speed pitches. And we will see that he's averaging less than 6 innings per start. And as you see in the video that's up here right now, he does pitch to contact a little bit. He'll get those weak grounders like I just mentioned a few seconds ago, but he will strike guys out. So it's going to be a fun matchup to see going into game one here. But now, often overlooked is back when he was in Pittsburgh, he shut the Phillies out in 5 2/3 innings. That was on July 29th. So he's really adjusted some things since coming into the Cardinals organization. I've noticed that his changeup, he's used that a little bit more to get usually low and away on the righties. And sometimes for him, that allows him to not risk hanging that curveball, which can be an issue for him in allowing the long ball. So it's going to be an interesting matchup here in game number one. Again, we are about 25 minutes away from first pitch at the Lou. Very, very exciting. I'm going to go to Zach Wheeler. So, Ben, if we're looking at Zach Wheeler, what stood out the most this season that you think will help him going into this first-round matchup?
He was, obviously, as we all know, he was, second in Cy Young voting last year in 2021. he continued that pace into 2022. His pitches were still zipping. He's looked like, I think there's something different with Phillies Zach Wheeler than Mets Zach Wheeler. And I actually saw an
Most
article today
definitely.
by NBC Sports Philadelphia how JT Realmuto helped Zach Wheeler become the pitcher that he is. I didn't get a chance to read the article, but I saw the My Teams app update on that. But he still looks like Phillies Zach Wheeler. And if the Phillies want to win this game today, they need Phillies Zach Wheeler.
Thanks, Ben. And yeah, I agree with that. He's been a completely different pitcher since coming over from New York, and it will be exciting to see what kind of show he puts on in his first Phillies postseason. Again, this is coming up in about 20-ish,
It's his first
25
start in the
minutes.
postseason as well for him.
Yeah, he's got one of the he is. He's got same with Aaron Nola. A lot of guys in this Phillies roster. We know Gene Segura. Right now he is the longest tenured player in the major leagues to not make a postseason appearance. Yeah, but to go a little deeper into Wheeler here, to bounce off what you were saying, he came off 2 hits in 5 innings in his last appearance. He allowed just 1 run in 15 innings since he returned from that forearm tendonitis. Now, remember, Wheeler's only made 26 starts this season, so he's still fresh. Jose Quintana, on the other hand, he's made 32 starts. This will be his 33rd start, obviously, but he has never made more than 33 starts in his career, and that includes postseason too. So, which he's only been in once, which is 2017 with Chicago. So it's possible that we could see a Jose Quintana that's a little bit burned out. Obviously, he's had a long season, atop the rotation in Pittsburgh, coming into St. Louis in the middle of the season. Not an easy adjustment there. Zach Wheeler is a completely different pitcher than Quintana too. The most obvious one would be opposite arm angles. He's a right-handed pitcher. Wheeler has a high 90s fastball, where Quintana, he'll be sitting in the low 90s, mixing in a sinker, which Wheeler's sinker has really come around in 2022. All right, so we're going to move on to our keys to the game. Ben, what do you have for us this afternoon?
We need to see the Schwarber that we have seen the last week. Schwarber is heating up again, and he needs to carry that over into the postseason. A leadoff home run would be nice from him today to get this Red October started on the right foot. Should we go out there expecting that? No. But Schwarber needs to be on. He still needs to be hitting. He's got a lefty-lefty matchup in his favor today. So it should be interesting with him. My other key to the game, the bullpen needs to be on. If Wheeler, God forbid, is not looking like how he should, and even if he is, and then when he probably comes out of the game eventually, the bullpen still needs to be on. I said in our podcast a few weeks ago, or not a few weeks ago, like a day ago, that if the Phillies want to go deep, they need Seranthony Dominguez and David Robertson to step up, as they're the 2 probably top key pitchers in this bullpen that they need. And if they want to go deep, they need those 2 guys to be on. So Schwarber staying hot. Same as Stott. He needs to stay hot too. If we have our 9-1 hitters hot, it's scary.
That's dangerous.
It's dangerous. And both of them hitting home runs, which usually your 9-1 hold don't do. Should be interesting. And of course, Seranthony and Robertson need to get going.
9 for his last scene, Bryson Stott. All right, so I want to move on to my keys of the game, and I do, I think it's a little bit. I have a unique one today. I've got one for the game, and I've got one just for the series in general. So for the game, I would like to get Quintana out of this ball game early. If you let Jose Quintana ride through this game, you're going to get to the Ryan Helsley time in the bullpen, the Jordan Hicks time in the bullpen, and we have not seen the Phillies have success against fastballs in the high 90s. Earlier this season, Ryan Helsley tied Camilo Doval of the San Francisco Giants. He hit 104 with his fastball. We do not have a lineup that thrives off of high-velocity fastballs, and we especially do not have a bench that thrives off high-velocity fastballs. I spoke about this in one of our recent podcasts. I don't see having much of a role for Derek Hall in this wild card round because you were envisioning him getting at bats later in games. But with these Cardinals relievers who have these ridiculous fastballs, they're pumping well over 100 on almost all their pitches. Call's not going to touch that. So I really want to get Quintana out there after 5-6 innings because we need at least one inning where we're not facing a Hicks, a Helsley. Genesis Cabrera did not make the Cardinals postseason roster, which is surprising to many, but he also pumps high 90s, and I just would not want to see this Phillies team going up against those two guys specifically. For the series, and I'm going to go on a quick minute rant here, then Ben, it's all you.
Oof.
Please don't get to Game 3. I can't handle Game 3. Ranger Suarez is scheduled to take Game 3. He's a lefty, and the Cardinals hit lefties like no other team. Albert Pujols has an 1146 OPS versus left-handed pitching. Nolan Arenado, a 939 OPS. Brendan Donovan's on-base percentage goes up 29 points against lefties. Tommy Edmonds, his OPS is 782 against lefties, only 704 against righties. Yadier Molina's batting average is 53 points higher against the left-handed slot. Lars Nootbaar's 855 OPS against lefties tops his 772 OPS against righties. And here it is. Paul Goldschmidt has a 411 batting average against left-handed pitching. Ben, are you sitting down? Yeah, you are. Okay.
Yes.
1328 OPS.
Wow.
That isn't even fair. So I do not have confidence going in Game 3. Ranger Suarez is a very good pitcher, but the Cardinals have a disgusting lineup against left-handed starters. We've seen what Albert Pujols has done in the second half. We've seen Yadier Molina, who has a slash line of 288, 315, 519 in September. So that was my little statistic ramble right there. I'm done for the time being with statistics, but that scares me right there. What are your thoughts on that, Ben?
We've seen Suarez come up big in big games and big situations.
Oh yeah, he's the calmest pitcher that team has.
He's, as Tom McCarthy likes to say, he's as cool as a cucumber out there.
Oh yeah.
So I have confidence in him, but against, as you said, this lineup, Pujols and Goldschmidt absolutely smash lefties, and this is a lineup that can really do some damage against left-handed pitchers, as you said. And Suarez, obviously a left-handed pitcher, but he has, as I said, comes up big in big spots. So it's going to be interesting if they get to a Game 3, what's going to happen. But I have a question for you, because I actually don't know the answer to this. They didn't come out with their postseason roster yet, did they?
They did not. So, well, technically, yes, their postseason roster is out. It's mostly what you'd expect. It didn't come out last night, which is kind of strange. But
is Gibson on? I didn't even see it. Is Gibson on there?
I'll have to go back and look at that. So, I believe he's on there as a starting pitcher, if I remember correctly. We'll have to go and check that out. So we are going to move on now, and Ben, I want to hear your thoughts on this Phillies lineup. What is the best possible outcome?
Scoring runs. Getting, as you said, what's the dude starting pitcher for the freaking Cardinals? It's
Jose Quintana.
Yeah, they got to get him out of the game. For the reasons you said. I don't know. The Phillies offense just has to stay hot. Not hot because they haven't hit. They need to hit. These guys need to wake up. Schwarber, he needs to stay hot. Stott needs to stay hot. Harper needs to wake up. So Harper has not been hitting well. He needs to start hitting. Castellanos needs to start hitting. I know he just came back, but he has to start hitting. Today, Veerling is starting in center field against the lefty, so they don't have a lefty. So Veerling has been hitting well. So I'd like to see him continue that. Everyone, it's easier said than done, but these guys just have to hit if they want to be successful. They have the pitching that they need somewhat. But the Cardinals, their pitching isn't great. They don't have.
Oh no,
their bullpen.
It's
stinks.
well rounded. Their pitching is well rounded. They have a guy for every spot. but the guys they have for that spot are not overwhelming by any means.
Mhm.
Like Jose Quintana is probably one of the weaker Game 1 starters, but their Game 5 starter in a National League Division Series would be much stronger than some teams because they have that. I mean, honestly, Adam Wainwright's probably your Game 5 starter there, and he has an ERA 3.51.
Yeah, he's
Then
not
you've got
bad.
Jack. Now I believe they're going to be using Jack Flaherty out of the bullpen, and the main reason for that is because he's got that swing and miss stuff, but he has not been good since coming back from that injury about a month ago. He had one good start here or there against Pittsburgh, and things kind of spiraled out of control. He just cannot keep runs off the board. But I do want to touch on Bryce Harper there, and that's actually going to bring me into standout stats, the next segment of our show here.
Sponsored by SeatGeek.
But sponsored by SeatGeek,
See the alliteration?
which oh yeah, I alliterate everything. Everyone should know that by now. If you watch any Philly sports content, alliteration is my favorite. But said SeatGeek is the easiest, most efficient way to buy your tickets. Each sheet is given a green, red, or yellow dot, indicating whether purchasing that ticket would be a good, bad, or fair deal. And we know there are a lot of sports events on tap, and it's possible that we're going to see all four of our Philly sports teams playing at the same time,
which we have not seen in a long time.
Very long time. But it's all going to depend on how this game, which is happening in about 15 minutes, is going to end up. But if you want tickets to anything, doesn't even have to be those four teams. It could be any teams, any guys. You can watch concerts. Oh, yeah, anything. Use code Philly Sports Report. It is on the screen right now. Yes, again, that is Philly Sports Report. You will save $20 on your first SeatGeek. Great stuff right there. Which brings me to standout stats. And I'm actually going to go to, funny you said it, Bryce Harper. Okay, so Harper has an expected slugging percentage of .572 versus that fastball. And what we'll see from Jose Quintana, and you will see this right off the bat, he likes to elevate that fastball. And you have seen Yadier Molina will really, really use that fastball to his advantage. He did it with Jordan Montgomery, who we might see later on in this series. So I would not be surprised to see Bryce Harper. That's actually my prediction. Can we have is part of our agenda today to make predictions? It is.
I don't know.
Bryce Harper will be going yard in Game 1 against the lefty, which he has only done not very often this year.
He hasn't played that much.
The reason for that, that's true. But Quintana, he's got that low velocity fastball. He keeps it up in the zone, and Harper destroys fastballs. And I think that if he anticipates the pitch, he will send it a long, long ways. So that is my standout stat. Now, he is 0 for 6 with 3 strikeouts in his career against Jose Quintana. So there's a little bit of some mashing there between those two stats, and we'll have to see which one plays out come 15 minutes here. So Ben, what is the stat that stood out to you?
Wheeler's track record against the Cardinals. I love it. It's a lot better than I thought it was. Can you try and pull up the numbers? If you can try and find.
I already have those numbers up. Look at me.
Wow, look at you. Can you rattle those off for us, please?
I'd love to rattle them off. So, of course, he started his season off a little shaky. That was really in April, those first 3 starts. But after that, he's been stellar. He really hasn't had too many bad outings. You go to July 3rd, which is when he pitched 7 scoreless innings, allowed just 5 guys to get on base. That was a Phillies victory. That start lowered the season ERA to 2.66, and the start right after that, 7 more scoreless innings, 6 base runners this time. I know he's the worst. He struck out 10 between those 2 series. He has been excellent against the Redbirds this year. He's had success against some of the bigger bats in their lineup, and I'm looking forward to seeing him pitch in Game 1. Now, Ben, how concerned are you after his – now, I shouldn't say concerned. I said it earlier. I'll say it again. Zach Wheeler has allowed, 3 runs in his 15 starts since coming back from the injured list with that forearm tendonitis. Let's see. Oh no, just one run in those 15 innings. Excuse me there. Since coming back from the tendonitis, do you expect some of his, as he goes deeper into the game, will continue here? We saw his velocity came down a little bit in his last start, and he didn't seem as sharp in the 6th and 7th inning. Obviously, he hasn't been all the way stretched out yet. He hasn't thrown anywhere close to 100 pitches. How big of a concern is that for you?
How I look at the postseason,
it's new.
Stats are back at 0. Records are 0-0. Everything is 0. It's a whole new start. They're in They're in a whole new season. It's a much more competitive season, but everything is restarting. That's where I'm at with everyone. Has his velocity dropped in the last few innings? Whatever you just said. Yes, but this is a whole new scene for him. It's the postseason. Everything's new. No, it does not concern me.
It does not concern me either. And I agree with what you said there. I mean, it's a new season, right? We are looking at there. No one's hot, no one's cold. Everyone's starting fresh. You need to win 13 baseball games to win it all. And even though that sounds like a long shot, winning the World Series, how many 13-game winning streaks do we see? We see one every few years. It's not completely outlandish. I mean, it's not going to happen. I can tell you that right now.
What will you do if it happens?
Right now. Resign. Just kidding. All right, well, maybe not. I don't know. I'll make that bet with you. Right now, right on the spot, Ben.
Well,
13 games. In 13 games.
Oh, no. Okay.
Why am I making this bet with you? I can resign anytime I want.
It's true, but you're not going to.
That's right. Okay, so that is that did not go the direction I was expecting. No, but we are about 10 minutes from game time, which is exciting. Again, use that SeatGeek code that is right down there.
Hey, I bought Phillies tickets to Game 3 of the NLDS if it happens. I use SeatGeek. I use my code. I say $20. Were the tickets expensive? Yeah. Did I say $20? Yeah, I did.
You know we did.
So the tickets are expensive. So are the NFL. Tickets are ridiculous. Save $20. Easy.
All right, Ben, fill me in on the history here. What is at stake?
2011. Same date, October 7th. The night the music died. Roy Halladay was on the mound to begin Game 5 of the National League Division Series.
I need my popcorn.
In Citizens Bank Park. It was a chilly October night. No, I'm not going to go that far. It was the game everything went wrong for the Phillies. Roy Halladay was spectacular until he let up one run. I forget what inning it was. Raul Ibanez sent a deep fly ball to right field. Looked like it was going to go out, but the wind was pulling in that night. It was ridiculous. At the wall, that's when everything went downhill from there. Was that Raul Ibanez home run in any other weather hit?
Nothing went their way that series.
Correct. You'll go back to that. Nothing. You'll go to that 9th inning with 2 outs and a 1-2 count to Ryan Howard. He grounds out to second base, and you just see him hobbling, and he collapses in between first and home plate. That was the end of the Phillies era. This is the beginning of a new era. It's a whole new start for the Phillies. You're going to see some guys you saw back then. Albert Pujols. Was Yadi on that team?
Oh, yeah, he was.
Yadier Molina. Adam Wainwright.
Wainwright was injured during that season, but he was on that team. And even some of the guys that, the Cardinals, their organization has a lot of long tenured players. Mm-hmm. I mean, they just got rid of Matt Carpenter this offseason. And I do think that does hurt them sometimes. I mean, you've seen they have stuck with Paul DeYoung. I mean, he is abysmal. Like, he's even on this postseason roster. He's hitting like below 150. He serves absolutely no purpose, and he was still being trotted out every day when he had these awful numbers. So the Cardinals, they've stuck with their guys, and they believe that it's going to lead them to another championship. And
Very much,
they've
man.
got one more shot. They re-signed, not re-signed. Well, I guess it's not re-signed. They signed Albert Pujols the beginning of the season. They re-signed Yadier Molina. They re-signed Adam Wainwright. They brought the trio back together, and they want to win a championship. Everyone has expressed that. The fans, the front office, the coaches, the players themselves. They want a World Series, and they are hungry for it. And I do think they can get it if they pass the Phillies. And I think the Phillies are going to put up a very good fight. And I said it earlier in the broadcast, and I'm going to say it again. I don't want to go to a game 3. I think it's going to go awful. But I'd put my money on the fact that it does go to a game 3.
Oh, yeah.
I really do think it does. Because I think that this Phillies pitching I really think the pitching is going to carry them through this series. I'm convinced. I mean, you look at this rotation of Wheeler and Nola, the way they've been pitching recently, they are unstoppable. I mean, Aaron Nola had a perfect game with 2 outs in the 7th inning against the 106 win Astros, 107 win Astros.
And he gave it up to the best. He gave it up to the best lefty hitter in the American League.
Oh my God, Yordan Alvarez, the guy's incredible. He's one of those young studs just coming up. He's going to keep developing.
He shouldn't have even been in the game.
No, he shouldn't have. I mean,
Dusty Baker
should have been, but he shouldn't have been.
Dusty Baker's a sweat.
He didn't want to get. He didn't want to get perfect gamed. I don't blame him there, but no. Nola and Wheeler are incredible when they're on. We've seen Nola, a little dicey in certain situations, but I do think that the winner of the game that is starting in 5-10 minutes here is going to dictate the series.
Yep.
The winner of this game wins the series. Because if the Phillies do not win this game, there's no getting back on track.
The Phillies also, when they win game 1 of a 3-game series, I think it was like 70% of the time they go on and win the series. Game 1 is vital in any series.
They don't come back well. I mean, and especially with you're throwing your best pitcher today. The Cardinals have Miles Michaelis going tomorrow, and it's funny. Both of those guys have very similar situations. Miles Michaelis this season had a perfect game in 8 2/3 innings. So, this is going to be a series where pitching, I think, is going to influence a lot. Even though the pitching that we're going to see isn't as good as the pitching that you might see in another series.
Yeah.
The Blue Jays, they're one of those teams where pitching's not great. But then there are teams like the Astros, right? Then there are teams like the Dodgers. Their pitching is incredible, right? And who are the 2 teams I just said, Ben? Astros, Dodgers. And
yeah.
Which teams in the baseball right now have the best record?
Astros, Dodgers.
There you go. And on that note, we are going to wrap up.
I have one more thing.
One more thing.
I usually say game 2 is the most important series in a playoff series. Because if you win game 2, you're usually going to win the whole thing, because going 2-0 is a heck of a lot better than going 1-1. For the Phillies, game 1 is the most important game of every single series. No matter if they win or lose game 1, it is the most important series.
We've seen this roller coaster, man.
Oh, yeah.
This thing goes from the clouds, it goes into the devil's lair, man. They start up here, they'll end down here. And it can go quickly. I mean, it takes one thing to set this team off track. And you've got Nick Castellanos swinging at sliders that are 2 feet off the plate. And you've got Gene Segura swinging at fastballs above his head. And then there's Matt Vierling, who'll go into that thing where he strikes out every other at-bat, which he's got one of the highest contact rates in baseball right now, which is surprising to see. And
postseason, everything restarts.
Everything restarts. Restarts.
What's your score prediction today?
Today will be a 3-1 Phillies victory.
I was gonna say 3-1 Phillies too. I think Wheeler goes 7. I think Wheeler goes 7 innings.
6.
I think Wheeler cruises through 7 innings, allowing 1 earned run in the 7th, and then they pull him after that. I think he pitches very well today. And then I see the bullpen closing it out.
Who are we going to? We gotta wrap this up. I know, but who are we shooting with?
I guess you go Alvarado. I guess you gotta go Alvarado for at least an inning, and then I guess you gotta. I mean Dominguez. I think is You could. I don't
Where's
know. I
Eflin
don't.
play in that role?
You could have Eflin, but
I've got Sir Anthony throwing the 7th, Eflin throwing the 8th, Alvarado going the 9th.
You know what?
There we go. It's my prediction.
We're gonna go with the punches. We're gonna see what happens.
All right, let's do it. That is the end of the first ever postseason edition of Phillies Pregame Live. Wow, that was exciting. I'm so hyped, everybody. We are 6 minutes away from first pitch.
Let's go!
PhillySportsReports.com to read our post-game story. It will be there. That is all. Colin Daly, follow us on Twitter. Benjamin Goldstein, you can follow him too.
Let's go.
Enjoy the game and go. Go Phillies.
Let's go.